Howdy there, folks. Got a very good video to react to here today. This is a really good one that I'm looking forward to getting in with you guys. So in this video, this gentleman goes through his financial statements or his projections he has for Palantir stock. And based upon his projections, he has this stock basically kind of being a easy 3x, 4x type stock over the next few years, essentially, okay? And so I want to go into his numbers and kind of, I think the important thing, whether you're bearish or bullish on Palantir, you know, I almost think that's irrelevant for this video, although this is pretty cool for the Palantir shareholders or people that are thinking about buying the stock to go in these numbers here. But I think the more meaningful thing about this video that I'm looking forward to get into is showing you how he's valuing Palantir stock. And it's based upon free cash flow. And this is a different way of valuing stocks than like somebody like myself does. I'm usually looking at a company's net income and thinking about where a company's net income is going over the future years and why it should command a certain future PE on the stock. This gentleman's going based upon free cash flow, which is so many different ways you can value a stock. And there's so many different ways different folks value a stock. And so I just want to show everybody this as a way of, this is a way you can value stocks as well. So I hope you guys get a lot of value out of today's video. I appreciate everybody for joining me, whether you're a newer investor in the market or, you know, kind of at a mid-level or you're high level. I think you're really going to enjoy this video and kind of, you know, learn something from this. And this is on a Mint channel. So I did actually, he came to my house and we did actually like a full hour-long video, about probably a month ago or so. So if you never got to see that, you'll definitely want to check that out there. In regards to Palantir, okay? I want to show you a few things. So first thing is, it's very interesting. This stock actually bottomed way before most stocks that bottom in the market. This one had a capitulation bottom back in May. Now think about all the devastations that's happened to countless other stocks. I don't care if you're talking small caps, mid caps, the largest of the large companies. Look at what's happening recently with the big techs and how much those have gotten hit, right? And their Palantir was, this baby had a capitulation bottom back in May, which is very interesting and very telling about kind of the state of this stock. Now, in terms of me personally, where am I at with my Palantir position? This is a main account I own Palantir shares in, and in that particular account, I'm up to 3,333 shares of Palantir. I do own some Palantir in another account as well, but that one is a smaller position. This is my biggest position of Palantir, and I hope to buy more shares over time. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Hope you get some good value out of it. Thank you, everybody that subscribed to the channel. If you're looking to get into my private stock group and get access to that, apply with the pinned comment down there and you'll get access to all our different Discord chats, including our Palantir Discord chat, which we got actually a lot of Palantir shareholders, a lot of folks that have been buying Palantir over the last few months. Man, we have a lot of Palantir outside of Tesla. It might be you know, our third, you know, Chef's obviously really popular. Tesla, the Chef, Palantir's right up there. Very popular stock inside the group. Thank you for everybody that's subscribed to the channel. We are at 17,000 and I think 600 plus subscribers strong at this point. Holy smokes, this ain't no jokers.
I made a couple of slides based on valuation. I figured it would come up point. And you know, right now Palantir, and I like free cash flow as my valuation of choice for looking at companies. I threw Salesforce in there for a specific reason. Salesforce, and I don't have a crystal ball, but they're never becoming a Microsoft, okay? Microsoft has end user products as well as corporate. They're never becoming a Amazon. It's just not what they do. But they are a behemoth of a software company, and they're trading at a just over 28x free cash flow right now. Granted, whatever they've done in 2022, everything hit. So the question I ask myself is, can Palantir at some point get to this level of free cash flow? I don't know. Okay. I have no clue. Right now, if Chris was here, I would say 173x for Snowflake is quite rich. Can it improve? Yes. What are they going to do? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. Mick, can you go to slide 7, please? Thank you. So based on what Alex Carpenter.
Okay, so first off here, in terms of revenue numbers he has for the company, about $2 billion roughly this year, which I think most folks would say that's pretty in line. 2023, $2.6 billion of revenue. 2024, $3.3 billion of revenue. 2025, $4.4 billion of revenue. First off, you know, all those revenue numbers are not super ultra bullish. None of those are. So I think he's actually got rather conservative, very fair revenue number projections in there. $5.7 billion of revenue 2026, $7.1 billion of revenue 2027, $8.7 billion of revenue 2028, reaching over the $10 billion mark in 2029, which that's when you start to be considered a giant in this space, once you go over $10 billion, and then $12 billion of revenue in 2030 there. As far as growth rates, he's got 30% growth going right now till 2025. Then it's goes down to 25%, 22%, 19%, 17%, 15%. And the law of large numbers start to catch up with you. The one thing I'll say to push back is when you start talking about 2026 and beyond, it can get rather confusing. There's also a possibility that Palantir reaches, I would say, a massive escape velocity where it becomes the norm that almost every large company has to sign up for Palantir's product. Also, Palantir is always innovating, coming out with new things. It's very possible over the next few years, Palantir launches a massive game-changing product that becomes a multi-billion-dollar product that they don't even have in the market right now. And they haven't shown off. There's things they could be working on. And so I just think that's important to remember in regards to an innovative company like a Palantir, that there's definitely a possibility over the next few years they launch something massive that no one saw coming, and that thing becomes one of their biggest businesses, if not a new biggest business, right? So I think that's important to kind of keep in mind there. As far as free cash flow, he's got them doing free cash flow, $542 million free cash flow in 2023, $705 million of free cash flow in 2024, $917 million of free cash flow in 25, $1.1 billion of free cash flow in 2026, almost $1.5 billion of free cash flow in 2027, $1.8 billion of free cash flow 2028, over $2 billion of free cash flow in 2029, and then $2.5 billion of free cash flow in 2030. I think these numbers are actually probably pretty conservative for free cash flow as those years tick on there. I really do. I think those are probably a little conservative. But anyways, that's his numbers. Okay, let's jump back into this.
Previously said, and I took some speculation in years 2026 through 2030, and I kept it at the 2021 free cash flow margin throughout the 2030 mark. There is a path if things fall into place and the revenue declines in 2026 through 2030 from 25 to 15% growth. Maybe that's realistic, maybe it isn't. But at the free cash flow margin they were at in 2021, it puts them at $2.5 billion in free cash flow.
Yep.
Maybe they get there, maybe they don't. Could you go to the next slide, please? So I made three grids based on the assumptions I made, and these are.
Okay, so first off, 2025, he's got them at. Wow, not much growth there at a $22 billion valuation, roughly. That's like almost non-existent growth from here as far as the stock price goes. So that's where you get into like, okay, wait a minute. Like, he's actually got pretty bullish numbers over time, but he actually doesn't have this stock getting any sort of premium anytime soon, right? But do remember the market's kind of, it prices things into the future, right? So that's something to keep in mind there. He's got them trading at about a $29 billion valuation in this scenario, right? He's got them trading at a $37 billion valuation in this scenario, which is about a double from here, from the current valuation of the company for 2027. And then going to a $63 billion valuation in 2030, which is about a triple from here, okay? Now, in terms of a more bullish scenario, he's got the valuation going to $88 billion, which is about, that would be a little over a 4x from here in terms of, where it's going to. So over a 4x for the stock price. And in this scenario, the most bullish one here, that's about $113 billion, right? But here he's basically, changing what the multiple is expected to be for, free cash flow multiple. So this would be a more bearish scenario at about 25, more bullish at a 35, and obviously ultra bullish at 45. And obviously the thing that can definitely change is what is that free cash flow, right? And that's the hard part with Palantir, especially if you're trying to project out years in the future. Because once again, the important thing that no one, I don't think enough people are even talking about this or thinking about this. And this is Palantir, bears or bulls. I don't think enough people are thinking about this. Karp and that team, they're innovating. There's a reason they have so much money invested in R&D and why they're constantly working on products. There's got to be things they're working on that are big game-changing products or services that are going to come out next year, the year after, right? It's not like they're just sitting on their hands and just saying whatever we got out there in the market, that's what we got. There's no way. They've got to be working on big stuff in new products and services that are going to make their current products and services take them to the next level, right? Or things that we don't even see right now that we're going to see. And so that's why, you can definitely kind of get a change in terms of how this company's valued over time, because that can completely change the revenue and the free cash flow in regards to this, right?
My numbers, they probably will not pan out. Just my speculation. And how I'm looking at Palantir as an investment. If you give them a 25x free cash flow multiple, which is less than half of what they're trading at right now, if they do get to that 2.5 billion free cash flow in 2030, they would have a valuation of just over 63 billion, which is 270% upside. If you put a 35x multiple on them at that free cash flow level, you're looking at an $88 billion company. And if you put a 45x multiple, 566% upside.
Stephen, would that multiple be contingent upon the macro during 2025?
I don't think the macro, I'll probably get a lot of heat for this, but I don't think the macro really is going to matter when it comes to free cash flow. I mean, free cash flow is a number that can't be manipulated. Yeah. We're not talking about net income where it depends what you write off and all the different tax implications. This is simply your cash minus your CapEx. And that's why I like this number, because it is very hard to manipulate. And this is how I like to look at investments.
I agree with you.
And look, there's a path for a lot of upside if things fall into place. And when you look at what they're doing, I would tend to err on the side that it's going to pan out. Now, unless something goes really wrong, I'm going to have to reassess my personal investment and look at how things pan out. But right now, I don't see anything, especially with the growth in commercial. Amit, one more slide. Do me a favor. Go to slide number 4, because it's very important. I wish they had put this in the Q2 presentation, not the letter that Alex, because these slides are so important because it shows you the growth from the newest customers. If you look at the right-hand side, the amount of U.S. commercial growth that they have done is phenomenal from their new customer base. And on the left, they're growing their revenue all based on the new contracts. And you start looking at what they did with Exxon. You start looking at
Thank you, somebody, for bringing this up. I agree with them. This is a huge deal. And in the last quarterly numbers, everybody dogged that quarter like it was the worst quarter ever. Okay, first off, people have started to see even the best companies in the world, the Googles, the Metas, and all those companies, report some disastrous quarters, right? But in regards to Palantir, everybody dogged that last quarter, and I'm like, did no one see U.S. commercial 120% revenue growth? I'm like, how did people miss this? I'm like, that is amazing. Who else is growing that's anywhere in relation to Palantir space? 120% in the United States for commercial revenue. That was absolutely shockingly great. So, yeah, I think this is absolutely very important, what he's showing here.
You look at the Skywise venture, they could possibly do that in several other industries. It looks like they're going to do that with Hyundai Heavy. Looks like that they have the potential to do that with Exxon, considering they're probably going to build off of what they did with BP. They also have a Morgan. There are so many avenues for them to create custom solutions and have that sell down the value chain to companies they wouldn't even be associated with, but through their partnerships, they should collect theoretically some of the revenue. So I see a lot of potential. But once again, as I stated on Seeking Alpha, I'm giving them now, after this earnings presentation, 3 more quarters before I really reassess my position, because I was not thrilled with Q2, but it looks like it's changing based on the interviews we've seen.
Stephen, can you disclose, if you're comfortable, how much of your portfolio is Palantir?
I would feel very comfortable if I even knew. I honestly don't know. I mean, I can tell you that outside of
10%.
I don't know. outside of my our retirement funds, I mean, we own 30 individual stocks maybe and 10 funds, 15 funds. So I don't know. I'd have to get back to you. I'd say 5 to 10%. Maybe.
Can you share your Seeking Alpha so people can follow you? Your Seeking Alpha, a name or whatnot.
Yeah,
you can put one of your articles in the chat if you want, Stephen. I'll also put in the show notes afterwards.
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, cool. I'll do that.
So I'm interested what you guys think on just the free cash flow valuation real quick. If you guys
Shout out to Gabe. There you go, Gabe. Shout out to you, man. Appreciate you.
time to stay on.
I think I agree 100%. I like free cash flow as a metric. I personally look at cash flow from operations personally because it just literally.
You hear him? He's looking at cash flow from operations. That's why I tell you guys, there's so many different ways you can value stock. And that's the interesting thing about the stock market is there's no one way that it's like you can only value a stock this way. And this is the absolute PE or forward PE or operating cash flow or free cash flow a company deserves. It doesn't work like that because so many people, everybody has a different way of valuing a stock, right? And I think all of them can be valuable, right? I have my certain way of valuing a stock, but I appreciate other opinions on how to value these stocks as well.
Kind of removes out the cost of goods sold. And I think that's a true representation of how profitable an organization can be. Free cash flow is very dependent on buybacks, dividends, a lot of those things. And so when I look at more so companies and their profitability, I look for price to cash flow from operations. But it's a low CapEx business for Palantir. So I think free cash flow is a good way to look at it as well. And I think you normalized it against other organizations that are in the software industry as well. So I don't think it's a bad way to look at it. I just prefer cash flow from operations. But I agree wholly with where you're going with it. I think a lot of people need to recognize that it's a high margin business. And once it actually starts hitting profitability, you're really going to start seeing that number move up. With respect to the cash flow and the positive cash flow at that, because every dollar that they move up, they're going to be probably net 30 to 40% of that for revenue. And I think a lot of people don't recognize how profitable that business is now because it's currently running underwater because of the share-based compensation. Yep. But once you kind of get out of that in the next couple of quarters, then I think that people will really start to see what kind of cash flow machine this thing will be.
100%. Preach. Yep, 100%. So that pretty much wraps up the video there. I thought that was just a really good, and I hope you guys enjoyed that there, just kind of digging into another individual and how they value a stock, right? And I think Palantir is an incredible opportunity for long-term investors. Obviously it's a very scary-ish time, as an investor out there in the market, right? People are very concerned about the macroeconomic landscape, about a lot of companies reporting very disappointing numbers, especially some of the biggest companies in the world and things like that, right? And, at the end of the day, I feel very comfortable with a stock like Palantir and continue to build that out. One, because of valuation and where I think that company is going to be valued in future years. Two, incredible balance sheet at the company. One of the best you'll find from let's call it, under $20 billion market cap. The third part is huge belief in their strategy around obviously government contracts and business contracts. And four, very sticky product. I just think, most companies that are going to sign up for Palantir are still going to be using that product 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. And also, I think they're going to continue to innovate and come out with new game-changing products and services that people haven't even seen yet, that they will see in the future. So, as far as me buying that stock, it's probably not going to stop anytime soon. And I'll probably just continue to add that one. And it's definitely a position I feel very comfortable in. I don't have to worry about, they might go bankrupt or something like that. Because there's obviously other stocks I own out there that are huge money losers that, their balance sheets have deteriorated over the past year. And there's those sorts of worries. With a stock like Palantir, you don't have that, which is the nice thing, right? So anyways, I appreciate you guys joining me. As always, 17,600 plus subscribers now at this point on this channel. The reaction channel is growing very, very rapidly. Much love as always. If you're looking to join us inside the private Discord chat and everything like that, and get access also to my course curriculums as well as everything else, which is a lot, definitely apply with the pinned comment down there. Much love and have a great day.